Hey, so I want to go over supplies that you'll need for grooming. Everything from here to the right are things that I would say you really absolutely need. This would be included over there. And then everything to the left here are optional. So let's go over the required ones first. The first thing is a clipper. This is the Andis Ultra Edge. And I have had this, I think, since 2014 or 2015. It's lasted a long time. It's not cheap. It's about $160 or $170. You can get different colors if you want, but they do last, so they're an investment that will pay off. Along with a clipper, this one doesn't have anything on it. You need blades. The two basic blades you'll need are a 10 and a 15. You can get away with just a 10, but if you're going to use the combs, which I'll show you next, you really want at least a 15. Now, the lower the number, the longer the clip. So this is closer. So this is a 10, so that's a little bit longer than the 15, which is closer. And for comparison, a surgical blade, which completely shaves, is a 40. So if you don't know what you're doing and haven't been taught, when you're using this without any clipper guards or anything like that, you only want to use a 10. You don't want to go any higher than that because you can really get razor burn. You can even get razor burn with a 10, so be careful, especially with dogs that have light skin or light colored hair. There are two different brands that I use. There's the Andis and the Buttercut. And they both work on the Andis clipper. I find that the Buttercut lasts a little bit longer and performs a little bit better, but the Andis is more readily available and they're less expensive. Now on top of it, you put your blade on like this. I'm going to use the 15 because I'm putting the guard on. You slip it on there, like that, and then you click it on. Okay, and then to get it off, you press that button and you pull it forward, like that, and then click it on. Sometimes it's working well now, but sometimes some clippers, when you put it like this, if it doesn't snap all the way, just kind of turn it on and it'll snap in place. Now, like I said, this is a blade alone. If you want, then this will give you a really short cut. If you want a longer cut, you're going to want to use a clipper, or they're called guards or combs. This is a stainless steel set I got. It's a wall set. And I really like this. I was never able to do a nice job on a dog with these combs. There are people who can use with these plastic ones. There are people that can use the plastic ones really well and do a beautiful job. I can't. I can't stand them. In fact, that's going in the garbage, okay? Don't like them. But what these do is these snap on top of the clipper blade, and they keep the clipper blade a specified distance from the skin so that you have the hair cut a particular length. So for example, this says 5/8 inch. This is 5/8 inch. This one says a 1/2 inch. And so this is from smaller to larger, and again, smaller to larger. I very rarely use these large ones, and I very rarely use this really close one. These four here from, what is this, a 1/4 inch? From a 1/4 inch to 5/8 are the ones I use most often. Okay, I'll show you how one of them goes on. So we'll take the 5/8 and it hooks underneath the blade right there. And then it's got a spring in there, and you push it up and it clips over the top. When you do this, you want to make sure that it's properly seated on your blade, or what'll happen is the blade will start vibrating and the teeth on the blade will break and you'll have to get a new blade. So if you hear something funky, this sounds good. If you hear something funky, you've got a problem, turn it off immediately. Okay, and I'll show you from the side, up and on, and then off. This is the reverse, and then I'll show you from this direction, up and on, and then off, and then from this direction, I just use my thumb. I hook it under, I use my thumb up and over. And there you have it. So you've got your clipper guard on there. Okay. You're going to need a scissors. This happens to be a curved scissors, but you can use a straight scissors as well, as long as it's a good scissors, a good sharp hair cutting scissors. It could be for human hair or dog hair, but a good scissors. This is This is a smoker's toothbrush. You can use a regular toothbrush, but the bristles are really soft. This is a super hard bristle brush. So you want to use this. It will help you to clean between the teeth on your blade when you need to clean a little bit. When you use your clippers, the blade's going to get hot after a couple of minutes, and it can burn the dog, and it can be very painful and uncomfortable. And you don't want to burn your dog. You don't want to create those bad associations. So what you need to do is you can switch blades. You can get extra blades and switch among them while you're clipping. You can also use this Cool Care, and it's just a spray. You spray it on there, and it cools down the blade. It won't cool down a super hot blade right away, but if you keep using it pretty regularly, it will keep it cool, and you might need to give it a rest for a little while, but it works really well. It's also a disinfectant and a lubricant, so it's very good to use. So typically I will clean the hair out, I'll spray it, and if there's still more gunk in there, I'll clean it out again. Then at the end of your grooming session, when you need to clean your blade at the end, when you're done, you use this stuff, Blade Care Plus, and it's a thick, oily substance. After you use it a while, you will notice that there's debris that accumulates in there. It sinks to the bottom. Just let it sink to the bottom, and you just keep using it, and all the bad stuff sinks to the bottom. It's pretty easy to use. Let me get a paper towel. It is a little bit messy, so make sure you have some paper towels. Okay. You want to put your blade on the paper towel after you clean it. So you just take your blade and you turn it on. You turn your clipper on, and you just go up and down a couple of times and let the blade get lubricated and cleaned. And you let it drip off, and then you shut it off. And you can rest it on a paper towel while it drips dry. And then you don't want to, you can wipe it off a little bit if there's some excess on there, but you don't want to wash it off. You want to keep it on there and keep the blade lubricated. So that's your cleaner. And then I went a little bit out of order, but before you groom your dog, your dog has to be well brushed and combed out. And if you do not do a good job brushing and combing, you will learn how immediately when you try to clip your dog with a clipper guard. This is a Chris Christensen Big G brush. It's not cheap. This cost about $60, but I have had this again since I got that clipper. I think that was 2014 or 2015, so 5 or 6 years ago. It's lasted a long time. You can get something similar for under $20. This is under $20, but if you feel them in person, you can feel that there's just a different feel to the pins on there, and also this is really light and it just doesn't have the same feel in your hand, but you can absolutely get through with that. And then this is a Greyhound comb here, and it's got 2 different sides, and you want to make sure that your dog is combed through. I'm going to do different videos for brushing, combing, cleaning ears, nails, clipping, all of that. This right here is a letter opener or a paper cutter. This is a really valuable tool, okay? You can use this for dematting. So when there's a mat, you know, you can get a lump of a mat. I will actually go in there and I will, let's say this is the mat, I'll go underneath the mat and put this pointy thing through the mat and then turn it and use that blade to cut up through the mat. So if you cut your mat in a few different places, then maybe you can get in, if it's not too bad, you can get in with your comb and comb it out. So I consider this an essential tool. And I like this better than dematters. I have a dematter I can show you as well, but we'll get to that later. Let me put this back. Now I'm going to go to the optional items. There are different types of scissors you can get. So this is my main scissors. It's a big, heavy, nice Miller's Forge. It's a curved blade. I have other curved blades. This one here has a rounded tip, so I use this on the face just in case. I don't want to be poking out any eyes, so I use the rounded tip on that. This is also a curved blade. It's smaller and it's a little more curved, so I just use it in different situations. And it's, you don't, the big ones are a little bit harder to use on the face. So the smaller, shorter ones, I think these are like 3 inches, are better for the face. And then there are thinners or chunkers. So if you use this on the dog, and I'll show in the grooming video how to use these. If you use this on the dog, it thins out the hair and it gives a more natural line. So if you don't want like a very straight looking bowl haircut type line, you can use this, or you can use it to thin out beards and things like that, or areas that are really bushy. And these are two different kinds. This obviously takes out more hair and this takes out less. Okay, let's see. There are different detanglers you can get. These are just a couple of examples. I don't really have a preference. I also use Cowboy Magic. Some people really like them. I hardly ever use detanglers. I think it's just, I try to just stay on top of the coats and not let them get bad enough that I need a detangler. This is a face wash, and also you can use it as a washless or a dry groom. So if your dog gets a little dirty but not too dirty that needs a bath, you can give a dry bath with something like this. Tear stain eye wipes. Tear stains, a lot of the time you can fix it with some supplements. So I'll list some supplements also below this in case you have issues. Sometimes they just need a vitamin, and sometimes it's allergies, and sometimes you need a little bit of both. I've had a couple of dogs that have come to me that have had tear stains, and we've used the supplements with them for a couple of months, and then they don't really need it after that. It just seems to help. Do not use, these are baby wipes. I use them for tender bits. But do not use baby wipes on the eyes. It will burn them. You want to use specifically a tear stain eye wipes if you want to use a wipe on the eyes, or just a plain damp paper towel or washcloth. Okay, for toes, there are two different kinds of toenail clippers. All right, two main kinds. There are some other kinds as well. We used to use these all the time. I never use them anymore. We have gone to these, and unless you have a giant breed dog, this is going to be fine for most dogs. They all really like it so much better. I use it on the cats as well. I get a lot less resistance with this for some reason. It's, I think it's just not as harsh of a clip. I don't know how to describe it, but I love these. They're cheap. Recommend them. I don't know anybody who after doing a number of nails hasn't accidentally had gone a little too short and had some bleeding, so you want to use something like a quick stop on this. This is a styptic powder. I don't have a brand preference, but I can put some in the links anyway. We use this. If you don't have styptic powder, you can use cornstarch or flour, or grab something like that from the kitchen. That'll work as well. And then ear care is very critical. You want to be sure that your dog does not get ear infections, and you've got to clean the ears pretty regularly to ensure that. If they start to smell yeasty, you've gone a little bit too long. Sometimes if you think that your dog's coat is smelling badly, it's really their ears. So check their ears and make sure you clean them regularly. And this is one version I have here. I've got what I use mostly. I don't have right now. I ran out and I'm waiting for it to come in, but I'll see if I can find some. I'll link it below. There's a product that has both an ear wash like this and an ear dry. So when you clean the ears, you clean them with something like this, but then if your dog goes swimming or has a bath, you put the ear dry in and it helps the ear dry out instead of letting it stay wet. So that's really good. This is groomer's powder. It's pretty common to pull the hair from the ears, to pluck the hair from the ears, to try to keep them clean and to try to keep air in there. What I've been told by my vets and also in my personal experience is that don't pluck unless the dog needs it. It's painful for some dogs. It creates more irritation and actually makes things worse. So I only pluck if I have a dog that has bad ears and that tend to get yeasty or infected, which is not very common anymore. So this is just a powder, and you put it inside the ear, and for some reason it makes it easier to pull the hair out. I don't know how it works. The hair inside a dog's ear, it's not as painful to them as it sounds. They don't feel it as much, but you still want to be careful with them. And if you have any difficult areas, sometimes dogs, if their ears aren't taken care of enough, they will get mats inside their ears, and you might need a hemostat to help you pull it out of the ear. If you use a hemostat, you need to be very careful that you're only grabbing hair and not part of the ear, because that can be painful. And then I buy bulk cotton for the ear cleaner. So I use that to clean ears, and I'll show that in the ear video. Those are the basic tools. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I will list it below. And we'll go on to the next one. I forgot to show you these. I didn't put them out because I never use them anymore. But these are dematters. And what they are is this is a hook, and then inside here are blades. So that you can put this into a mat and hook it up, and then it cuts through the mat. And the same thing, this is a smaller one, and the blades are right there. These are very sharp. You have to be careful of your fingers with these because the blades are right under there. I don't like to use them for a number of reasons. The first one is I think they damage the hair too much, and I would rather just cut out the mat and let the hair grow back in good condition than do this. It really pulls the hair, it gives them frayed ends, and it's just I don't use it. It's uncomfortable for the dog. So I use this instead if I have to break it up a little bit, and if it's really damaged, I will cut the hair before I will use the dematters, but some people love them, so I wanted to show them to you, and I wanted to make sure that you knew that these are blades under here. Watch your hands. Okay, so in terms of a grooming table, this is a table I got on Amazon. You can get one pretty inexpensively. If you have back problems or you have a really heavy dog, you can get a hydraulic table that will automatically lift the dog up from close to the ground for you. Gobi will usually jump on there for me, so that's really good. The tables will come with an arm. I got an extra overhead piece here because I have a light that I've got mounted. I don't have very good light in this room. And then I don't really use restraints, but I want to show you how to use them safely. The first rule with restraints on the table is you never leave your dog alone restrained on the table. You absolutely never leave the table. Your dog can hang itself in seconds, so just be aware of that. So when you're, come here, sweetie, stand up. When you want to put your restraints on, you measure it so that you can see that the bottom here is down with the bottom of her hindquarters. This is the longer piece here. Come here. So this is down with the bottom of her belly. I'm going to move her forward so she can stand in it better. And then you slide up the keep there, and you can, I'm going to take this off here and put this on her first. So I'm going to step her legs through here. I haven't used this in a while, if you can tell. Step her legs through there. All right. And you've got these protectors. You don't want any pressure that she's going to apply. If she tries to sit down going on the wire, that's going to hurt her. You use these little bumper protectors. I'm going to attach it there. This end is to keep her standing up, and then this end here would go around her head, and this is to keep her head up. Some dogs will put their heads down, so if you're working on their face and you're alone, you don't have somebody to help hold the dog, and you don't want to poke the dog's eye out, there's nothing wrong with using this. It can be a safety device right there. So that's a restrained dog. I'm not going to go farther than this from the table. I can still touch her and hold her up. I'm not going to have my hands off of her because if she jumps, it's just too dangerous. Anyway, that's the restraint. If you don't want to buy a table, you don't have to. One of the best places in the house to do this, if you don't have a table, is on your washing machine. Just get a bath mat that's got nice good grip so that your dog doesn't slip and slide on the washing machine, and put the dog on the bath mat on top of the washing machine. It's a good height, and you're all set to go with that. So that's your table. Wait, Gobi.